It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 563. Tonight I'm joined by Ace.
Hello.
Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Fools!
Kodra.
I swear I can stick to a build.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
So what is Tahiti? Like I heard little bits of this, and I'm like,
it's a magical place.
Like I sound maybe interested.
It's also not in Europe, but that's less germane to this discussion. So Project Tahiti is the return of the Marvel Heroes ARPG. It's
Okay.
back. And it finally, 1.0 launched this week, to massive queues. They have since
a little while ago.
Yeah, they've since spun up a second server. There are still some queues, but they are more reasonable queues. And it's Marvel Heroes. It's Marvel Heroes as it was when the game was closed. So it's after the Fantastic Four stuff was removed. So Mole Man is just gone, which is sad. Yeah. You can get the Fantastic Four characters. You just can't get them as random boxes. Because of the way that they were removed from the game. They're still available to play, but you have to get them through the G store, which used to be the way that you bought stuff with real money. Now you can just convert Eternity Splinters, the in-game currency, into the points to use in the store. So
because as a private server, they don't want to go anywhere near anything involving real money.
Yeah.
Yes, because probably Disney won't come after them. Disney hasn't come after Star Wars Galaxies, so looks good. But if they start taking money from people, the chances increase.
Yeah. And the
City of Heroes can take money from people because they have an actual license with, an agreement. But this, no.
And even then, they're only taking exactly as much money as required to run the server.
Yeah, it's really hard to give the homecoming team money. You got to be right there, ready when they flip the switch to start accepting donations.
But they plan on running the events that they used to do for when the movies come out, and they've already have their Midtown Manhattan Mondays going. So it feels very much like how it was when it closed down.
Yep.
They have increased the Eternity Splinter drops, so you do get more. So it feels, it's still a little grindy, but it feels like a less of a grind, and it feels so nice just to run around and play the game again.
Basically, I think Eternity Splinters, they drop on the same frequency that they used to, but the minimum that you can get in a drop is 9 as opposed to 1 previously. So, and I've gotten a drop of 20. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so far I've got Squirrel Girl up to just shy of level 40, and once I at least get her up to the point that to unlock her second synergy, then probably I'll just buy another random hero box and see who I get. And then I've got Juggernaut ready to go. I should play him some.
Oh, nice.
And if I don't get Scarlet Witch or Magneto quickly enough, I'll just grab them outright, because they are important.
Yes. I unlocked Rocket Raccoon right away and went to the store and bought his office attire outfit because that is very necessary. With the staple guns, yes.
Yeah, because all the costumes are available, including all the ones that had special voices to them, and like the Wiccan costume for Scarlet Witch, the Beta Ray Bill for Thor, and so forth. Everything's there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really freaking awesome.
Yeah, this is amazing.
It's been 8 years since that game shut down, and for a long time, I just assumed it was gone forever.
Yeah.
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 That's super cool.
But yeah, it's not too hard to get set up and going, and feels good. It was a nice blast from the past when I was playing for a couple hours the other day and a little bit this afternoon.
Yeah, it's remarkably easy to get set up. Like literally, you go to their website and create an account, and then you add a like command line flag to your to Steam in the properties, a launch option, and that's it. That's all you got to do.
Oh.
Assuming you have Marvel Heroes in Steam. If you never played Marvel Heroes
which I
before,
do, thankfully.
I do.
Yeah, if you ever played it, then you do. If you never played Marvel Heroes before and you want to do that now, you could do that. You need to find the Marvel Heroes launcher somewhere,
Yep.
possibly in an archive somewhere of things that were once on the internet.
Yeah.
Guess I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yes, it feels so good.
Like it's just as fun as I remember it being. It's great.
Yep. And just like hearing the voices again, like the Manhattan goons or whatever, is just like, yes, some of the silly voices and stuff. It feels really great. Plus just some of the voice actors that voice these characters from 8 years ago. Like you have Nolan North as Deadpool and Troy Baker as Nova and Steve Bloom as Rocket. It's just pretty crazy and fun.
So I think this game was before I got into ARPGs, so I should definitely check it out.
Could be. It came out
Absolutely.
It came out, I think, right after Diablo 3.
And honestly, Diablo 3 is kind of a pretty reasonable reference point for the way it plays.
Yeah,
there are some,
or
somewhere between 2 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of different game modes and things you can do in it too. So
the game it reminded me most of when it came out anyway was Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, it's definitely got that vibe.
I did not keep up with updates made throughout the years, though.
Oh, and depending on how late you played Marvel Heroes, for the majority of the time the game existed, skills had like 20 levels, and you had to put points into them to keep leveling them up, and you couldn't have them all leveled up at once. They changed that fairly late, and that's the version of the game we have now. All skills are always basically at max level for your character's level. So you can just swap your build out without a lot of work.
Yep.
That's pretty great.
There was a lot of love and charm and put into this game, and it's really great to revisit it.
Okay, this next one is going to be a bit of a wild ride. So it is Path of Exile related. There is a Discord server that the community uses called the Forbidden Trove. It originally was the only way to really safely do bulk trades. So if you wanted to buy a lot of something, folks would go on to TFT and make the trades. Also, if you wanted some sort of a carry, for example, pretty much every league, I go on to TFT and I buy a Maven carry because I hate the Maven fight. I have killed Maven multiple times. I just hate that fight. And for 20 to 30 chaos and a couple of moments, I can get that Void Stone done and move on with my life. So I have used TFT quite a bit over the years just for Maven carries.
I was about to say, I used it exactly once because I wanted to sell my mirror.
Right, exactly. And it was the only safe way really to trade a mirror before the currency exchange went in. And essentially, the role that TFT has played is they are a voucher for people. And if you cheat somebody, you get, blacklisted from TFT and nobody wants to you can't use the service anymore. So
it's a way to keep track of people's reputations.
That's the pure version of that. What has actually happened over the years is there's been a lot of really sketchy behavior from some of the mods, and specifically the person who founded the server named Jenebu. There's been a lot of harassment going on for years because the other piece of TFT is Jenebu specifically maintained what was referred to as the mirror shop. So if you wanted, this is 1% of 1% of Path of Exile players will ever actually use mirror currency for the purpose that it was designed for. So the idea is someone has poured copious amounts of currency and time into crafting a near literal perfect item, and then you can pay someone a fee and bring your own mirror, and they will mirror the item for you and hand it back to you.
The trick here is, though, it starts with you putting a mirror into the trade with nothing on the other end and hitting accept.
Yeah. And a lot of times a mirror plus a bunch of divines as a tip for the service. And so Jenebu specifically on his account maintained, I don't know how many uniques that no longer can even exist, or crafted items that can no longer even exist. And this really only mattered in standard, but there was a lot of weird harassment behavior that, when other people decided that they crafted an item worthy of mirroring, Jenebu would essentially pressure them to put it on his mirror shop or effectively risk being kicked out of the TFT community entirely.
Ooh.
So that has been going on in the background. There's also been lots of many, many years of rumors of Jenebu participating in RMT behavior.
Oh boy.
This week, he got his account banned, and it has been wild because the estimate is somewhere between 10 and 20,000 mirrors of raw currency were deleted from the economy.
Wow.
In addition to the fact that it was his account that hosted all of the original mirrorable items. So, there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of mirror level items that just can never be mirrored again because they existed on this one account. And some of it he bought from players, other stuff he pressured them into basically doing consignment where they gave them the mirror and then they would get a cut of whatever fees that they got from doing the mirror service. There's allegations that have come out that part of this is around that he was apparently building a bot to handle the mirroring service on so he could basically run it 24/7 and not have to manually do it anymore. I don't no one knows exactly why he got the ban, other than it was a TOS ban. So it was either RMT or some sort of botting, but the price of mirrors dropped massively in both standard and in the current league, because the thing that you would do with mirrors no longer is valid until a bunch of people start crafting more stuff. But kind of the only sad part about this is there's a bunch of really weird items that were crafted over the years in leagues that you could do some truly busted stuff, and those items are just gone. The only ones that exist are the ones that were mirrored prior to this point.
It's very funny. I think Zizarin got in right under the wire then, because Zizarin just bought basically a unique item for the skin, basically for 250 mirrors.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing in standard is, I guess, back in the day when they would do races, they would reward unique graphics for items. So and some of it's just it's just 2D art that's unique. So I've seen there's a Cloak of Flames that has wildly different looking graphics. And apparently that's one of the items that people chased. And the ones that he was going after were items that actually had 3D graphics that were different.
Yeah.
And you could turn them into skins.
That's the chance they just made this league, to have their race rewards be usable as skins.
Yep.
Well,
largely this is so they could be used in PoE too.
Yeah, you have to buy an item and the item essentially consumes the item, taking it away permanently, but it gives your account that skin. But yeah, no, like
Vizeran is a winner of several races, so he was able to fund this by selling the ones he didn't care about.
Right.
So probably grinding gear games won't do this, but they could use the Kingdom of Loathing solution. Because Kingdom of Loathing, way back years ago, ended up with a problem where billions and billions worth of meat, the currency in game, was injected into the game via SQL injection bug, which led to some people buying up lots and lots of rare items. And then when their accounts were banned, all those rare items were now stuck on their accounts. And, a lot of these things were items that, were no longer things that you could get in the game. So the raffle was added to the game. And over the course of, I think, a few years, basically all of the items that were on those accounts were made prizes in the raffle. And so that's how they made their way back into the game.
That sure is an approach.
That's hilarious.
Very funny.
But yeah, so like, I don't know, like there's been a lot of don't you know who I am and how important I am to the economy going on from Jenebu.
Oh no.
Also threats of suicide and stuff like that from Jenebu. So like it's been a crashing out happening. And I don't condone any of that or any abuse of him, but also it's wild as a bystander that has never had a mirror and will probably never mirror an item to just watch this play out. And the only thing is like I know if TFT burns down in flames, someone will create another TFT. There's enough things that require vouching behavior that someone will build a new authority for vouching for things.
Yeah. I would like to point out that the need to vouching for things is a game design problem.
This is true.
Yeah.
So now that we have the bulk currency exchange, that's been a significant impact to how useful TFT is.
Mm-hmm.
It's also speaking from the other side, if you, for whatever reason, are in a position where you might think, I'm so important to this game, and you don't work for the company, that means you're a liability to them. And maybe try to be on good terms. It's sort of important.
I mean, and Path of Exile already has a lot of these people that are pillars that provide a thing that would be a liability if they went away. For example, if Neversink stopped doing what he does, it would be real sad times. Or the folks who maintain Path of Building, would be real sad times. But yeah, the whole attitude surrounding this has been pretty wild. I guess while on the topic of Path of Exile, Kodra, you now have your Dances with Wolves build fully running?
Yeah, I do. It's very exciting. So I put together a new build for League Start, basically on the idea of Holy Strike seems fun, let's play with that. And then, what was it? Maybe a week into the league, I think it was Ash, you were talking, hey, Law of the Wild seems good. What could we do with it? And this led you down the path of starting a chieftain. I was between Guardian and Necromancer, and ultimately went Necromancer once I started looking at what I could potentially do with offerings. And the idea of an offering is, if there's a corpse on the ground, you can consume the offering to give your minions a huge buff. There are 3 different offerings. One improves their critical strike and critical damage. One improves their attack speed and movement speed. And one improves their spell block and attack block. And the Necromancer has the ability to give herself those buffs at 50% reduced effectiveness. Reduced is important. I thought that was less for a while, and then was curious why I was confused why I was so good at this. basically the difference between those is less would mean no matter what I do to improve an offering, I still take 50% of that eventual offering. Less means it's additive and subtractive. Reduced means it's additive and subtractive. So if I can increase the effectiveness of offerings, which I can, 10% from quality and 20% from a minion mastery, I can get that 50% reduced effectiveness up to 20% reduced effectiveness, because negative 50 plus 30 equals negative 20. All of this to say is I also picked Necromancer because I wanted to try the Dark Monarch, which is a new unique item that says you can have double the number of minions of a given minion type, but you're not allowed to have any other minions on your build. And so...
Hey, what do you know? A build without Animate Guardian or Specters.
A build without Animate Guardian or Specters. And level 25 Spectral Wolves seems pretty reasonable. And you can only have 10 of them, so I was able to get that up to 20. And then I got the new Congregation support to get that number up to 27. Now, the challenge, of course, is normally I have these wolves. They are a skill on my Claw main hand, which means I could have 3 supports supporting them. But fortunately, there's another item in the game called the Squire, which is a shield that allows socketed gems to support skills in your main hand. So this is usually a pretty rare item, but we are now at the point of PoE where I feel like a week into a league, rare items stop becoming such anymore. And
some of them are.
I was still able to buy what apparently was a corruption failure. I don't know what they were trying to do, but I was pretty happy to get it for a single div.
The Volatile Battle Orb probably means that they were searching for a high roll on the quality modifier there.
That kind of makes sense. But it was like, this was great because it was a +5 block Squire as well. So I got a couple more points of block out of it, and I finally got it online, and I'm using Cyclone and cast while channel 3 different offerings with Leash of Oblation, because normally you can only have 1 offering active, and I have the Unholy Warrior on all of my minions, so all of them are doing chaos damage and hitting with Wither. So it's very funny because I've never seen a build that does so insignificant of personal damage. Like, you can actually watch it because any enemy with a energy shield, especially bosses with energy shield, I do not get through the energy shield before my wolves kill them. I mostly care about my personal damage because I need the leech for survivability and mana sustainability. But I don't know, it does a lot of damage, and it's yet another like, hey, let's just pull this out of the ether, and I'm pretty proud to say it seems to work.
This one is using a bunch of ideas that I have seen before in other builds. It's just that I had not. I tried to stick some of them in a Guardian build, and it went okay. I think a Necromancer is a better choice. Also, you don't have to deal with Animate Guardian shenanigans, which I did at that time.
Yep.
So Dark Monarch is also a good choice.
And the other nice thing is you have one specialization kind of unaccounted for, which slots perfectly into the Feral Mastery, which gives you 4% attack speed per minion near you. So anyways, I hit with Cyclone 15 times per second, and it has a 50% crit rate. So when I go into a pack of enemies, that's usually just 27 wolves immediately. I also don't really have to worry about minion health because whenever I crit, one of them heals back to full.
Is it actually healing them, or is it just summoning over top of?
You know, I'm not 100% clear. Yeah, it says it just restores 1.
I have watched the video. It is, in fact, effective.
It is yet again me figuring out how to play something in this game where I am hitting something, and the fact that I am hitting is helping with the fact that I have minions. Also, you get to go really fast with Cyclone.
I am surprised at that. It's definitely the offering doing it for you, because normally Cyclone slows you down a ton.
Yeah. I also have a gain charges on crit with my flask, which I do understand is somewhat rate limited, but that is still casting whenever it gets to full charges for my move speed.
Yeah, so you basically have the effect of all your flasks at once.
And yeah, like running Grace, and I only have like 50% dodge chance, but with 50% dodge chance and 76 and 78% block chance, like I dodge, I don't get hit a ton. And then I also have life on hit on my Cyclone, so if it does get through my energy shield to my life, I can regenerate that very quickly. So mostly, this is a very good second build if you're ever interested. Like, once you've got your League starter online and you've got just a little bit of currency, by then some of the more expensive uniques will probably be devalued in the market that you can just buy them. It's a lot of fun.
The Law of the Wild, which starts cheap, even though it drops from an endgame boss.
Yeah, Law of the Wild starts cheap. I don't know where Dark Monarch drops, but Squires are always expensive to start.
It's true.
I would never recommend this as a League start, but it is definitely a reasonable second build.
Dark Monarch comes from Incarnation of Dread, which went in when they did the Secrets of the Atlas.
Yeah,
update.
So this build wants 2 items from Incarnation of Dread then, because it also wants
That's also where Congregation support is from.
Yeah.
But now that the Atlas memories drop itemized, it's pretty easy to like buy the chains that lead to Incarnation of Dread so that you can farm them. You still have to run all the maps leading up to Incarnation of Dread, but
it is very the next build that I am working on. I'm currently between 2. I don't know when I'll get to it because I'm currently enjoying a different ARPG. But I want to do something with 7 teachings. I want to do something with 7 teachings and Rigwald's Curse.
If you want it to be good, it probably involves a Facebreaker.
Yes, but if I want it to be very funny, I think it might involve Doriani's Fist.
That would be funny.
You're probably right. It should involve a Facebreaker. I'm wondering, so here's my question. Does it involve a Facebreaker and then a Rigwald's Crest?
The ring? No. Well, maybe.
I was about to say, those wolves give me flat...
The answer is no, because you get it, you craft it onto an amulet.
No, my amulet's
taken. No, because your amulet's Ringwald's Curse.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a lot to give up for a ring slot, though.
Well, yes, but how much flat fizz is that?
A lot. It's a lot.
And isn't that what you want on a Facebreaker build?
Yes, it is.
So,
definitely going to be more than a steel ring, which is what it would be otherwise.
Exactly, right? I have these ideas, but like, yes, this is my challenge is I do like building something where all of the pieces slot together. This Law of the Wilds build is my most version of that. It did mean I only had 4 slots to figure out all of my resists. Well, I did have a chest piece open, but I picked Cloak of Flames for that because I needed to not die to physical hits.
And it's the easiest of the options for that.
It
would have been way harder to solve for all that negative lightning if you went with a lightning coil.
There's no way I was going to get out. Like we discussed this, Ash and I. There was no way with only ring, amulet, and gloves, I was going to be able to get the resist package together. Even with Purity of Elements, which I am running.
So I will say one of the things that I did that, because like I put a lot of emphasis on rings for solving my resists, and I found some mirrored rings that come from the Kalandra mirror thing that gives you like stupidly inflated stats on some things and negative stats on other things. Mm-hmm. But I found negative stats that I didn't care about, like negative evasion. Yeah, I don't have any evasion, so like it doesn't really matter. So like in theory, you could probably solve a lot of resists with one of those rings, but you'd have to carefully find one that has a downside you could live with.
Yeah. I do want to say I did, because I was looking at it, I realized that your list of how do I solve elemental ailments did have a pretty glaring absence on it.
Oh, what was off that list?
It probably is off it because you are never on this side of the tree, but spell suppression mastery says damage from spells you suppress cannot cause ailments.
That helps versus spells, but a lot of things that inflict ailments are not spells.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So what you have to do with that is one of the other gems that I was talking about that gets you half the way there. But yeah, like, so I've done that, and like there is a gem, and I forget which gem it is, that Storm Shroud, maybe?
That's the one that your chance to avoid being shocked applies to all elemental ailments.
No, there's another one that's spell suppress base.
I have not looked into this in a while. I never make builds on that side of the tree anymore.
Modifiers to suppress spell damage also apply to chance to avoid elemental ailments at 50% of their value.
Okay.
So if you overcap spell suppression, you can 100% avoid elemental ailment. Ancestral Vision. Anyway, so this is turning out to be a very ARPG show because last Epoch Shattered Omens dropped, which was season 4, and I think a lot of us have been playing that.
Yeah.
I am playing technically a minion build.
It's not technically, it's definitely a minion build.
I summon a bunch of weapons, and then they deal damage for me.
That does seem like a very fun minion build.
Sounds really similar to what you're doing in Path of Exile.
It does. I hear I should check it out.
I'm surprised you hadn't before.
I mean, I think the key difference is like I also do some amount of damage, but mostly the minions are doing the damage.
The Holy Strike build does quite a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Omens are pretty cool. Like, it's basically
Omens are awesome.
Breach, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. Although you only get
Breach combined with Harbingers.
Yeah.
Breach combined with Harbingers, and you only get corrupted items. Corruption is weird in this game.
Like, I think I was like in my 70s when I finally traded out the ring that I got off of the first corruption and like had been wearing since level 10. Some of the early corrupted items are really wild, or can be really wild.
Yeah, I'm almost level 80 and still have some very early items because they're silly.
Later on, you start encountering items that have massive upsides but have some sort of a downside, like cursed amulets.
I mean, that kind of starts immediately.
Say later on, but
like
the very first item I got was basically doubled the cost of spells, but gave them like 200% increased area.
I have this stupid amulet that I'm wearing that's got +2 to all skills, but it makes me take 4% increased damage, but also has 202 health on it and like a bunch of fire damage and a bunch of damage over time. And like, you know what? I can live with 4% extra damage taken.
I was going to say, like, a lot of the early items I got were the stat replacement ones. And I mostly view those as like, okay, that's a lot of stat, but I don't think I want to convert to that.
Yeah, like the couple I looked at was like, this is not a good bargain.
Yeah.
The one I think is good is the one that gives you increased effective frenzy.
Is that Guile? Or
I think so. I think it's the strength replacement.
Yeah, strength replacement. Yeah, that makes sense.
And if that were on a strength stacking build, it would do a lot of things, I think. Since normal benefit of strength is armor.
Yeah. I don't know. I like survivability.
Yes, but you probably already have a bunch of increased armor.
Well, and there's a bunch of unique corruptions that you can only get through the corruption system, or like, there's
like items with bases with downsides.
Yeah. But like there's enchants for weapons. Like I've seen a lot of 3% increased damage for every point of strength and things like that scale based on stats.
So here's my question, because I haven't really used. How do the runes of corruption work?
They corrupt an item, of course.
Corrupt an item.
Sure. What can you use those on? Can I use
anything?
Anything in the forge that isn't already corrupted.
Can I use that on a legendary?
I haven't tried.
Like, is this a way to take your LP item and do something weird to it?
It is designed to be the final step in anything and requires zero forging potential.
So this is making me think like, man, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, there are probably like, are there bricks on these?
Yes.
Oh yeah, the very first one that I did, it ruined the item.
Yeah, like you can absolutely brick the item so it is literally no longer usable.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even subtle. It's cannot be equipped.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Hilarious.
So I'm going to test this theory because I have.
The answer is yes. You can use it on a legendary.
Okay. I was like, because I had a legendary that is a bad legendary that I'll never use. Oh, it turned it into a yellow item that's corrupted.
but like, this is great, right? Like, okay, I wasn't going to use this item. Whatever. Let's throw a corruption at it. Or this item is almost good enough, but not quite. Like, this is going to be really fun, especially for people who are not worried about, like, selling their items to anyone. Like, everyone who's playing this game. Because no one is in Bazaar. I love that they show you now what faction everyone belongs to. So I can just reaffirm to myself that no one's in the Bazaar.
They might be actually, in the Bazaar proper.
I'm just saying, like, I go to the end of time. The people who are playing the game, going to the end of time, are all not in the Bazaar.
It's fair.
I feel like there may actually be a compelling case for the trade league this time because there are some very specific corrupts that someone might want, and
there sure are.
So
I think the deeper the item pool gets, and the deeper and weirder and more varied it gets, the more value you can get in trade, because like somebody might get something completely nonsensical but is great for somebody else.
Yeah, and the corruption system definitely increases the ability for that to happen.
Yeah.
But also, don't corrupt anything that you actually need.
Do not corrupt anything you need. Maybe corrupt your second copy.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know it could just turn it into a rare item.
Yeah.
Oh, it could do all kinds of stuff, some of which is very funny.
The one of the early ones that I did is I was trying to get a good weapon because like I got some good armor and some good jewelry. So I picked up a reasonable dagger that had like a lot of, because the thing that you want with this summon weapons build is a lot of attack speed, because it's a proc that procs the weapons. So the more hits, the faster your procs are. So I picked up a random dagger at like level 13 and I'm like, okay, I've got a corruption rune. Let's try this. And it swapped the base on me to a level 56 equipable dagger. It was a perfectly fine dagger, but I sure as hell couldn't equip it anymore.
My problem fundamentally with the Trade League is that I would love it, but like the fact that so few people are in it also dilutes the network effect of it.
Yeah.
Also, the trade interface is like so unusable.
I thought they significantly improved it like last league.
Did they? It might have been 2 leagues since I've used it, but it was miserable to play with the 1 league I did it.
Circle of Good Loot is just so much better.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many useful things like, like when a set item drops, the entire set drops.
It used to be garbage. It used to be a thing nobody wanted or cared about.
I've been fishing for the B set because like at some point I want to make a B minion character. And by the time I got any of them to drop, I had that perk. So I have multiple sets to play with now.
I'm very excited conceptually about the will set. Haven't gotten it to drop. I would like it to drop.
The will set?
Yeah. Because the set increases the effects of all of your Weaver's Will items. So, yes. I like to find out what my stats are.
This is the one that I don't think this drops randomly, right? This drops specifically in the Weaver stuff.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah, I've not seen it either. Like, I kind of lollygagged my way to Empowered Monoliths because I was trying to throw on as many woven echoes onto the early maps that I could so I could get points to spend in the tree so I could unlock all of my imprint slots.
And I thought I was doing well, and you're like all the way into Empowered Monoliths.
I got into Empowered Monos today, but my character's not fully up to doing them, so I bumped back down again. Want to level a few more levels, and then I'll go back up.
I guess I had to do things today.
I had to do things. I've had to do things several days, so that's my excuse. But no, I am not into the level 90 monos.
You can get to Empowered so much faster.
Yeah, you definitely can. It's very nice.
Yeah, like if you skip your way to monos, you have to do 5 timelines and then any one of the 90 timelines, and you're in Empowered. But if you did the quest, you only have to do 3 because you essentially get credit for 2. And I kind of like that push and pull of like, okay, if you finish the main story, like you get some benefit for having done it now.
Yeah, you can also do some of the higher level early monos, and those count for 2 points also.
Okay.
Which is good, because I think I want... Actually, Blood, Frost, and Death probably is not. Doesn't count.
This explains how I got into it, because I did, at level 35, my first monolith, which was the level 62 one. And then once I was level 60, Tam and I did the level 82 one, which gave us 2 points. And then I did chapters 9 and 10, and that gave me my 5 points to get in.
I was wondering how I've done it before. I haven't finished 10, because I haven't had any time to play, but...
Listen, doing the full campaign I'm allergic to it. It makes me sneeze.
I like it other than the last chapter. Because the last chapter is really long.
The last chapter is really long, but whatever. I need to do it to get one of my things. And then I will go and I'll do Empowered Monoliths to get all of my blessings. But I'm having a good time right now. So you're like poo-pooing sets and how much do we like who cares about sets? I am hard wearing a full set right now, and it's like gonna be hard to get me to get out of this.
I'm also wearing set pieces for the first time.
Several things happen between this being bad and being good. First of all, they moved it to rank 4 and not rank 10. Second of all, they decided maybe sets could be good. Maybe set gear can just be good.
So anyways, I'm using the Doppelganger set, which is incredible. I am producing so I'm playing their updated take on Blade Dancer, and I am making so many shadows. I'm using the brand new skill Shadow Rend, and I've just now gotten it to the point where it's basically able to be, while I am in a smoke field, I am able to cast it for effectively 0 mana, and it does a bunch of damage and also grants me Dusk Shroud. And yeah, I am currently roughly around 30 stacks of Dusk Shroud, which I do think means like I am overcapped on glancing blow reduction like so many times over. And like I really need to figure out what my dodge rating actually is when I'm doing this, but it feels really hard for anything to hit me actually. And then I also generate ward based on how many Dusk Shrouds I have, so I'm just like sitting on like 800 ward, which I know is not a lot for our Spellblades over here. But let me tell you, for a rogue who doesn't get hit ever, it's pretty great.
I was say, I am here, like, I think the last time we talked about this, I expressed some concerns about Spellblade surviving. And it turns out that you can, in fact, fix these problems. My ward generation is noticeably less good than it was. But I have like 1,200 resting ward.
Like resting ward? That's
nuts. Resting ward. Like, just standing around 1200. I mean, if you want to get really particular about it, it's 1196 was when that number stops changing. And like, I have invested in Ward.
Sure.
Because it's there. But like, I haven't gone out of my way to like get it on gear. I've just been getting it in my tree and getting it like, oh, this piece has some, let me put it on. But Spellblade is in possibly the best state it's ever been.
Yeah, it seems really nuts from when we were playing last night.
Like, it's the biggest problem Spellblade had is that it was really, really cool until you got to empowered monoliths. And like, or like even the level 90 ones, you would get to a point where it's just like your scaling isn't keeping up. Because for a while, you couldn't actually get all of your damage from one place. You had to like mix elements, and that was just not working. And like, I think they updated that in season 2 so that you could go all frost or all fire.
I was about to say, you could go all... I thought you could go all frost in season 1.
Yeah.
I think you could, but it wasn't good or it was awkward for some reason. I forget exactly, like...
I mean, the primary thing you were doing was spamming Shatter Strike, which then repeats a billion times.
Yeah. And like, it is doable, but like, I want to play Lightning. Lightning has not been supported until now. Now, Lightning is very well supported as like a primary damage type.
I was about to say, I definitely played Lightning on my first one, but I was doing a very specific build that I want to try again this league.
There's at least, like, I've been toying around with it. There's at least, like, 2 or 3 builds per element that are very sensible and, like, all that, like, come together in a natural, intuitive way. There's probably even more, like, esoteric ones. But, like the one I'm playing is just about procs. I'm doing everything I can to proc Lightning Blast because Lightning Blast is very good. It's very good and it's straightforwardly very good. And so I'm just leaning into what can make Lightning Blasts happen. And it turns out a lot.
There are a certain number of mage abilities that can just incidentally cause you to make Lightning Blasts.
The big thing that they changed is there were a whole bunch of mage abilities that would make lightning happen. But it was not Lightning Blast. It was some other name, which meant that it was just damage that you couldn't do a lot about other than increased lightning damage. And every single one of those has been changed this patch to either by default being Lightning Blast or being able to be upgraded to be Lightning Blast.
This is the change they made for Primalists in like 1.0. They had this generic Stormbolt, generic Lightning Bolt everywhere. And it got updated to an ability that you can spec into.
Yeah.
And they all now use the same ability.
And I have been...
And that instantly makes it better just because you can put points into it.
Yep.
I've been so jealous of Primalists for this reason. And now I have it, and it's extremely good.
Very good. It's a good change.
It's a build that flows... It's a build that flows really, really nicely, too. Because you basically start by taking... Lightning Blast, speccing into Lightning Blast, speccing into Mana Strike when your Lightning Blast, like when you get that slot, and then when you become a Spellblade, you're already set up to start proccing Lightning Blasts. It's such a good flow. And then I'm layering, we'll call it Fire Aura, but it's Lightning.
Ability says it's Fire Aura, even though for me it freezes enemies.
Yeah. And it makes a huge difference. Like Fire Aura, that was a whole top side of the tree that could easily be ignored.
It didn't do anything.
It's very good. It's really good. The effect of the build is that I have extremely good damage projection, and if things get close to me, they're getting slammed by the aura. And then on top of that, I have quite a bit of ward and just other passive defenses. It is what I've wanted this build to do, and like it's easily the best performing Spellblade I've played basically this whole time.
I've taken this opportunity to start as a Spellblade this time, and it finally lured me off of Primalist, starting on Primalist. So congratulations for that. And I am having quite a lot of fun. My build is doing somewhat different things, the goal is still to proc some spells, but I only want to proc one spell. I want to proc Frostclaw. And by proccing Frostclaw, I can get the hits to, also proc Ice Shards and also proc various other things via Enchant Weapon and cause Frostbite. And the original goal was to get some Frostbite, get some quote-unquote Fire Aura, and just lean into damage over time. But I think I want to lean harder into Frostbite specifically, so I'm trying to trade out the Fire Aura bits for proccing additional spells. Specifically, Ice Shards is a spell that I really, really like, but have not been able to really use in a build previously. It's not convertible to any other damage types, so unless you're using Frost, it's no good. And hopefully this build is, well, I already know, even without having put any points into it, Icicle Shards is a crazy, silly additional ability.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is it's very mana expensive. I got to a point where I was sort of okay, mana neutral, if not positive, just by spamming Frostclaw, but Ice Shards pushes that deeply in the negative, so I still need to get some additional points to fix that.
Yeah, balancing the amount of mana you're using does seem like a challenge.
Yeah, there was a thing that I was looking at, because I've commented before that Mana Strike has there's like a way you can use it as a ranged attack, and it had a secondary thing that did nothing if you were playing on a controller. So I just never took it. And they finally rolled both of those things into one thing and replaced that node with a Prox Lightning or Static Orb. And I kind of wish that were just Prox Lightning Blast, if I'm honest. Because, or even something else in the Spellblade tree.
Volcanic would have been a nice pickup, quite frankly.
Yeah, there's just a couple of options that would have just worked better. I think that there's a version of that's like on a sorcerer, you're using Mana Strike for mana reasons. Because you don't want to use focus for some reason.
There are a bunch of reasons to not use focus.
Yeah, focus is really good though. But there's plenty of reasons not to use focus. So I can see that angle. But it's definitely, I spent a while, I'd spec'd into Sorcerer and gone all the way to Static Orb, and gotten to Static Orb and was leaning into that. But I can't quite get enough out of it. I would like to, but it's just not quite there. It's also probably overpowered if it's Prox Lightning Blast, if I'm honest. But
Mana Strike is an ability that you can make hit very, very fast.
Yes. Mana Strike is quite fast. The whole functionality it's very strong right now, or at least I don't know if it's actually very strong, because I haven't gotten to Empowered Monoliths and I can't really put it to the test, but there's a bunch of stuff that I know is killing other people that I can do pretty regularly now, like the end states of Omen chains. Which, boy, those are wild. And the first one I did kill me because I was deeply unprepared for what it throws at you. But it works well, and I feel like I'm scaling it. I'm not doing the thing that I've done every other season where I get to a point and I'm like, oh man, I need to reconfigure this whole build if I'm going to survive.
I haven't needed to reconfigure my whole build because I needed to survive, but I have consistently been this build is a little bit awkward. I started off with the idea of I was going to do, I wanted to play Rogue because I wanted to see if explosive traps with shadows was something I liked. And mostly I started off and I was like, I don't think this really works. I can convert a bunch of things into electricity. But the play style of this build is just a little bit too clunky for me. And really what I want to be doing is Shadowrend has been the standout. I want to be pressing this button as much as I can. And then I also really like Lethal Mirage with that. I recently figured out I like Synchronized Strikes into Lethal Mirage, mostly Synchronized Strikes as a buff. And then so the problem was I was okay, I'm having mana problems, because I hadn't figured out how to use Shadowrend mana free. So I was using shurikens to rebuild my mana, but I just really did not enjoy shurikens as a skill. Like I know I gave it a good college try this time. Did not like it, but I am back to melee with Shadow Cascade kind of in a role that I don't fully understand what it's doing, but that's fine. I am trying to put shadow daggers on things, and I hear shadow daggers can be pretty great. So that's the plan right now. But I am generating like probably 4 to 5 shadows a second, and I heal like 200 health every time I generate a shadow. And that all doubles as soon as I can get the unique I've been hunting for.
Oh man, yeah, the right unique really makes things. I got perhaps the best roll Battle Mage's Endeavor I have ever seen. It's near max in every stat except move speed bonus. So oh no, and I'm very excited about using it. It's very powerful.
The one of the new things that they added to the end game is, I think they call them Omen chains, but they're basically like any kind of chained thing on the map, and
I love them.
They show up on their own, like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 things deep into the tree, but they're like pretty great, and like each one gets slightly more juicy than the last one. And I died at 82 for the first time because I got a really juicy omen, and it was the last one in the thing, and it wasn't even the boss that was the problem. It was like all the ads that were summoned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get to the bosses at the end of like the Omen ones, they're not that bad, but the mobs up to them is monstrous. Those are nuts.
Yeah, that definitely killed me the first time.
Like, I have a strategy for it now, but boy, my like full send dive sure got punished.
But I did a Nemesis chain, and that was pretty fantastic. It ended with the Nemesis Tower, and it also rewarded like a pile of uniques.
When we were running around, we got a Jungle Beast, Rift Beast chain. That was a lot of Rift Beasts.
Yeah. I really like the Rift Beast one. I like how these are showing up. I hope at some point we're able to manipulate the map to make them come up.
Yeah, it really makes it gives a shape to going through the monoliths that I was missing, and I really enjoy how it flows.
So I'm pretty sure on the end of the Omen chain, one of the options is to force some other kind of chain onto the map.
I've not encountered anything akin to the lenses, which like kind of skew the results of like what ones you encounter the most. I think that's what you were talking about, Kodra, that you'd like to see. Yeah, basically the equivalent of an Atlas tree.
Basically, yeah.
I haven't looked super closely at what's going on.
There are some new nodes, because I think there's some that are Omen related, but I've not actually seen whether or not there's anything related to chains in it.
I would also expect some Rift Beast related nodes now that they're no longer in every map.
Yeah, there definitely are.
Also, now that they're no longer in every map, they made each individual one somewhat more rewarding, mostly by starting them off with 2 evolutions. So that's its own thing.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there are different chain nodes on the tree that give a higher percentage of spawning different things. It doesn't look like it's all of them. There's one specifically for Omen Echo chain chance. That might be all of them collectively. They're referred to as Omen chains.
And again, I think if you get the actual Omen one, then you can force one of the other ones after that. So
yeah,
it helps.
I don't know. I've devoted a bunch of effort to trying to knock out as many unique woven echoes as I can to get more points to spend in the tree.
Yeah, same. I do appreciate that both the Omens and the Rift Beasts have a tell as soon as you zone into the map. So you know whether they are there or not, and I wish all the other types of encounters also had this.
Yes.
I just wish they showed up in the sidebar like a quest, like to show you what all's on a map.
So I am here. So one of the things that I am now curious about, because it's one of like the things I'm realizing with my build, is I kind of want a specific champion's affix.
You can definitely make champions show up more often.
So you can make champions show up more often. Is there a way to get champions affixes onto better items easier? And is there any way to get those onto unique legendaries?
No. They always show up sealed. That said,
I wonder if there are corruptions that match these. I'm gonna be really annoyed with my glove slot. Because one of the champion affixes...
Most of the champion affixes were based on unique items that already existed.
There is no glove slot that gives you more max shadows.
Unfortunate.
This season is the first time I've played through Act 10. Because it's just like it was very optional before, and I got distracted by monoliths.
I mean, it was new as of last season, which I don't think you played.
I played some of last season. Like, I played into monoliths last season. I just didn't delve into the story, and this is very late, but boy, is this the most Sonic the Hedgehog series of levels I've played in a long time.
Also something about honey.
Yeah, also just some deeply weird quest content.
Yeah, I was sort of pained that by the time I got to that act, I was just pushing through very quickly to get to Monolith, and I skipped all the side quests, and it kind of made me sad because there are some really ridiculous side quests.
They're really funny. Like, they definitely...
Oops, I guess you extincted an entire group of creatures.
I mean, there's so many weird things going on. Like, all right, there's some distressing realities about the things you're doing back in the past, and then also like there's something about with everything going on, your character is like, you know what I need to be like just deeply concerned with right now, honey. Like, I think I know a few things about your character's default psychological profile at this point.
I still remain way more concerned about the life cycle of the Maruna.
Oh yeah, like
I don't know. The big takeaway from playing through Act 10 is I am no less convinced that we're the Emperor.
I think that's more likely than the other popular theory, which is that's Mortitas.
I don't know that we're a good guy.
Well, no.
I mean, if we're the Emperor, then this explains the answer to the question that came up the other night, which is like, how come all our friends are these weird undead things?
Right. Like, how did Harton become a crab? Like,
the story of this game is actually very funny and like very interesting. I still love the moment when Eula and you are like at this big epic climactic battle, and it's like, wait, no, you're the wrong version. You don't know anything yet. Why did we make this mistake?
It's really good. Like, I can't decide if I think that it works because ARPGs are kind of story secondary, and so they can do silly things without you reading too much into it, or if it's like genuinely really good and it's a pity that the weird fun things that they're doing are stuck in a genre that mostly doesn't do a lot of story.
I mean, the other thing is that they have a time travel story.
Look, the folks that made this game really like Chrono Trigger.
Which does actually also have a little bit of this going on.
Yes, this feels very Chrono Trigger.
When you have a time travel story, and your story is actually about the time travel, you can do weird stuff.
It's true, and it's very funny.
My other real takeaway is the same takeaway that I had when they introduced the last content, is that they really need to do something to the rogue or the exile mages.
Oh boy, yeah.
Because they don't feel great. Like, I mean, if it's a thing, like if one of their experimental affixes is a thing you care about, they are real important. But otherwise, most of what they drop isn't very useful.
Except is that even true? Because like, isn't there a woven echo that gets you their affixes on items you actually care about.
Remember,
because there used to be the glyph of experimentation or whatever it was, research, but they took that out in favor of one of the woven echoes, I think.
But I think you need the item.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's. I think that's the same one that allows you to extract the shards from set pieces.
I think it's a different one, but yeah.
Same concept.
A different one, but similar idea. And you can use the Weaver's Tree to add a bunch of champions to them, so at least you're always going to get something else good when you find one.
Well, they're also really good at for proccing prophecies.
They are good for that.
I wish that they would tell you I wish there was some like a bestiary or something that would tell you where to find things. Like, I don't actually mind kill giant scorpions, but not having any way of actually like going to find giant scorpions is maddening.
I mean, those guys are around a decent amount, but like diamond matrons.
Yeah, diamond matrons are another one. Like giant scorpions is one I was thinking of because I went through like 20 monoliths before I actually got one.
Yeah, it would be nice to like know if there is a way to figure out what biome they would be in.
That's really kind of the thing that's missing from the monolith, I think, is some sort of biome gating that makes more sense. Like, there are certain things that show up more often, but like it doesn't necessarily make a lot of logical sense what shows up where.
Well, and a lot of it is because by definition, each of the timelines there's something weird going on, so stuff isn't where you expect it to be from the campaign.
Yeah, and like all the monos are kind of 2 elements. I kind of wish that they clearly labeled which 2 elements they were. I know at some point I'll have it memorized, but I don't yet. But I think it like definitely clearly comes down on the side of, significant improvement to the game.
Yeah.
Yes. Like there's so much. It's not a totally different game, but it is a lot. There's a lot of really fun stuff that they've added.
Like if they keep doing this, the game will just keep improving by virtue of more extra content.
And I appreciate that they're experimenting, but in a careful and controlled way. Like, I don't think one of the things that you can do with the Omens is swap your like stats to an alternate version of a stat, and most of these I don't think are good, but I at least think it's an interesting mechanic.
I can see a reason to do most of them. It's not necessarily something that I'm wanting to do, but I can see that there's a logic behind why you might want to make each change.
Yeah, they just don't. It doesn't feel like enough to me, or the trade-offs seem too severe.
But I also kind of think that there's probably a build with specific uniques around doing this thing, and we may just not be seeing it. Because like there's been a lot of items that I've seen in the past that had a negative trade-off, but they've all been able to be positives under certain circumstances. I don't know. There's just a lot of fertile ground for making different builds in this game. I say that as I'm starting to level a Primalist to make a B character.
I think my next build's going to be a Spellblade, though. I want to try my Dragorat's Claw, Fragment of the Enigma once I get those items.
Really want to try the frog build. I know it's not exactly new, but I didn't get to mess with it last time around, and I really want to.
They made a 1-line change to Primalist, and it's definitely going to be Frostbite League for me.
I do like that Blade Dancer and Shadows in particular feel really good now.
I think we've arrived at the topic labeled miscellaneous game updates.
This is mostly just me noting that some games of various ages have had major updates recently. Coromon is like, 4 years-ish old? It's a Pokemon-like game. It's a very good Pokemon-like game. They just basically overhauled the entire UI and a bunch of things about the way the game looks, and they're calling it a remaster, but it's just an update patch. So if you have not seen it previously, now's a good time to take a look. In a similar vein, Sunderfolk hit 2.0, which means that you can control it with just a PC if you want, and don't need a phone.
Ooh, I will want to play a lot more Sunderfolk then.
That idea is great. It's not the best if you just want to play on your computer. It still makes an excellent couch co-op game. They also added a new character as a part of this update. And the other game, also not new, getting an update, is Peglin just got its 4th act. Playing on PC.
I really need to check it out. I've been meaning to, and just there's too many other things right now.
The update has not yet come to iOS, so I personally have not actually played it. But continuous support for indie games is definitely a thing that should be encouraged.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I always appreciate when, like, this game that's complete that I bought years ago, like, suddenly there's just more stuff for it.
There's more stuff, yeah.
And I try when that happens to go see, it's like, does this person have any other games?
So the Coromon one, I do know why they did that. They're in the process of developing a roguelike.
Aha.
And in the process of doing that, they made a bunch of UI changes and various things. They're like, can we backport this to our old game? Yes. Okay, might as well do it.
Nice. But yeah, that is the sort of thing that will make me actively go and see, like, are there other things that this person has made that I can also get and give them some money for? Because, like, I don't know, I just really appreciate it.
Any other quick thoughts?
I mean, certainly, I haven't played it yet. Apparently, Opus Magnum has a DLC.
Yes, that's also a thing that happened. I also have not played it yet. I'm told it is metal-centric.
Yeah. So not just a game that was, made years ago, but by a studio that technically doesn't exist anymore.
They said they don't exist.
That's what they said.
And then they went and formed a new studio and made other stuff. So they've been doing stuff the whole time. Just that they haven't been doing Zachtronics games, mostly.
Well, that is probably a show, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.